Hi, I'm Olivia from Wilkinson Cameras and with me is Alex. Today we've got another exciting addition to the Canon RF lens lineup. It's the brand new RF 16-28mm F2.8 IS STM lens. It follows on from the recent RF 28-70mm F2.8 IS STM, but this time offers a high quality, lightweight and relatively affordable ultra wide zoom lens. Like the 28-70mm, it's not an L series lens, but it is weather sealed, and Canon have promised us great quality optics on par with the later EFL series lenses.
It sits in between the existing RF 15-30 f4.6 to 6.3 IS STM and the RF 14-35 f4L IS USM lenses. It's a significant step up from the 15-30mm thanks to the f2.8 aperture, but also with the addition of weather sealing. It sits slightly, but only slightly below the 14-35 f4L because the image quality that we've seen with this sample lens is very impressive. But speaking of which, we must tell you, as always, that this is a pre-production beta sample, and so the images may not be indicative of the final release, but they're only likely to get better, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
We put this to the test by taking it out for a walk through the gorgeous Borrowdale Valley in the Lake District. It's a great lens for stills and video and obviously lends itself nicely to these kinds of landscapes because there's so much to fit into the scene. But it's also a great lens for astrophotography thanks to the f2.8 aperture and the wide focal range.
So obviously a 16-28 is a really great vlogging lens because it's so wide that it can fit both of us in and all of this beautiful surroundings. So we're at 16 at the moment. We're shooting on the EOS R8, which doesn't have IBIS, but the lens does have 5.5 stops of image stabilisation built in, and we've also got the digital IS on for this test.
Yes, we've got the digital IS on, which does put a slight crop on the frame as well. So even at 16 with a crop, it's still getting both of us in and the background quite nicely.
Yeah,
and 28 is a bit snug, but again, like I just mentioned, it's got a crop on as well, so you can take that off if you are walking, then do bear that in mind.
Yeah.
For filmmaking, it's going to be great for establishing shots and adding dramatic, cinematic shots across the focal range. It pairs nicely on a gimbal. I was using it on the DJI RS4 gimbal, and it allowed me to add smooth movements to make a very still landscape more engaging. So the lens also supports focus breathing suppression in compatible cameras as well, and it is very, very impressive.
It's really nice to see that Canon are following up the RF 28-70 f2.8 IS STM lens, which I tested when that first came out, with another affordable, fast aperture, good quality lens. I love that this is weather sealed because, well, we live in the northwest and it's one of the wettest places in the UK, so that is pretty essential for us.
Okay, so this is digital IS off completely on the R8. But we've got IS turned on the lens. So this is 5.5 stops of IS.
5.5 in lens, up to 8 with an IBIS body. We don't have IBIS on the camera today, but if you paired it with like an R62 or something, you would have up to 8 stops. But 5.5 in the lens is decent.
Yeah, it's more than enough. So if we do a little walk, then you can see how stable it is. Oh my God, it's cold.
I know. Quite looking forward to going up somewhere warm now. We're going to just try it for walking and vlogging with the enhanced digital IS.
Yeah, so this is a stronger crop than the one previously, but it's better for movement, so let's go.
And it's fine because it's so wide.
Actually looks alright.
It's quite good actually. Wide angle lenses can be susceptible to warping at the edges of the frame when there's IS, but can't see any, so it's pretty impressive.
Actually looks alright, to be fair. Very impressed.
I also took this lens out on my own to RHS Bridgewater, a large garden place, which I don't recommend going to in winter because everything's dead, but I only discovered that by going. and I actually had forgotten to turn IS on for a good chunk of the day. Now, fortunately, it was quite good light, but I could tell, and immediately as soon as I turned it on, I realised the mistake, and my images were so much sharper. So it's a really good feature and it works very well. There's a switch on the side of the lens, of course, if you do need to switch off the IS. For example, if you were working with a tripod, which I forgot to do, but my images actually weren't affected. Some cameras can compensate for that, but best practice, turn your IS off if you're using a tripod. Of course, there's also your AF, MF or control switch next to this as well. Handling wise, we have a control ring on the front, which can be customised in camera or used for manual focus as required. It takes a 67mm filter, which is the same as the RF 2870 IS STM lens. It's a 9-blade rounded aperture, which gives really pleasing, very round bokeh. 2 aspheric and 4 UD elements combined with the optical design of the lens, which place the larger elements to the rear. This results in really high resolving power with impressive sharpness and reduced aberrations. It also means that the lens is very well balanced as well. Super spectra coatings reduce ghosting and flare, which in English means the lens is designed to give incredibly sharp images even in harsh lighting, or seriously impressive results for a non-L lens.
As this is a pre-launch review, we can't access the corrections for the RAW files at the time this video is live, but this is a wide-angle lens. There is distortion in JPEGs. This is corrected, and for the RAWs, Canon DPP and Adobe etc. will have the correction profiles available. This is really common now to offer digital correction. It allows manufacturers to produce more affordable wide-angle lenses with features like fast apertures, IS, etc., and keep the sizes small too. Canon have assured us that the quality of the image hasn't been affected by the digital correction, and there's no resolution loss in the image. Our test shots certainly seem to back this up.
The RAW files that Liv mentioned a minute ago, obviously we can open the RAW files on this because the camera is still available, but we don't have the correction profiles, and there is distortion. There is a lot of distortion, there's a lot of vignetting, but I've been applying the existing profiles for the RF 16mm lens and the RF 28mm primes. They don't match up the JPEGs perfectly because it's not the perfect profile correction for it, but what you can see is how well it adjusts it. But the thing is that Canon are promising is that it's not going to lose anything. It's not stretching it. You're still going to get the same resolution. And that's what we've seen in the JPEG straight out of camera. And that's the important thing about this. So size-wise, it's almost identical in size and design to the RF 2870mm, as you'll see in some of our side-by-side comparison footage. It's very marginally smaller, maybe like a mil, but you can't really tell. It's also 45 grams lighter, weighing just 445 grams. And as I said a minute ago, they do both take the same 67mm filter size, which is handy if you're going to be using this alongside the RF 2870 IS STM, especially for video, where you're probably going to want to use a variable ND like we do, so that you can make the most of that F2.8 aperture for both lenses. Speaking of video, the STM motor will ensure smooth and quiet autofocus, and as I mentioned briefly earlier, or Liv mentioned briefly earlier, focus breathing compensation works with compatible models including EOS R8, R6 Mark II, R50, etc. And speaking of the EOS R50, this is a full frame lens, but of course it can be used on Canon's APS-C series, including the R50, R10, R100, and it's going to give you an equivalent focal length of around 26 to 45 millimeters, which is actually a really nice everyday focal length for these cameras, and would certainly work for travel, travel vlogging, street, it's just an everyday good quality lens. And I think that this might be quite popular on the crop sensitive cameras as a result.
The lens is launching at £1,249, which I think nicely reflects the image quality, the build quality and the fast aperture. It's great to see Canon expanding their mid-range lens lineup, though I use the term mid-range lightly as this is an excellent quality lens. They're providing R series users with even more options, which is always a welcome development. I wonder if we'll see more achievable RF 70 to 200mm lenses or lens to finish off the zoom series.
I hope so. There's probably a few lenses that you might be considering if you're looking for a wide angle lens for your EOS R series camera as well, but only one other at this f2.8 aperture, which is the RF 15 to 35 f2.8 IS USM lens. Now that's priced at around £2,049 currently, so that's £800 more than this one. Now for that you do get a step up in image quality, but you're gonna have to question if you really need this, as this lens has surprised us with how good the image quality is. It really is an excellent lens. For video, the STM motor is smooth and quiet and is going to be a great benefit. For fast moving stills, the USM motor in the L series will have the advantage as it is quicker again to autofocus, but as I said, this didn't disappoint for our little IF test today.
So if you don't need the f2.8 aperture, for example, you're maybe mostly shooting landscapes and you don't need the extra light or depth of field, then you may want to consider the RF 14 to 35mm f4L IS USM lens, which is only a couple of £100 more and has the L series image quality and the faster USM motor. It's also got a slightly broader focal range, making it more versatile. But for a fast aperture, weather sealed, high quality and compact lightweight wide angle zoom lens, I don't think you can go far wrong from choosing this one for both full frame and APS-C cameras. I personally enjoyed having this lens on a gimbal. It is relatively lightweight compared to other setups and allowed me to really work with my surroundings.
Liv is filming me with the R8 and the new 16 to 28mm lens, and I have been really surprised by this lens. I don't really like wide angle lenses. When we were told we were getting another wide angle lens to test, because it feels like 2024 was just the year of wide angles, I was like, oh, okay. But I've really enjoyed the focal length and the zoom range that this has offered. The 16 actually really surprised me. I love the 28. For the environment that we're in, it's been really enjoyable to use, and I've been quite surprised because I would normally bring maybe a 70 to 200 up somewhere like this. I like to get closer in to the details, but I've really enjoyed capturing that really wide scenery. So yeah, really surprised, and the image quality is really good as well. That's really, it's not surprised me because I knew it should have been, but it's a really good lens and I've loved using it. So that's what we think of the lens, but what do you think? Is this a lens that you want to add to your kit? If you're in the UK, then please head to wilkinson.co.uk to place an order or to find your nearest store, and we do offer part exchange as well. Please let us know your thoughts, or if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. We love hearing from our viewers, and please give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. We're still a growing channel and it helps us massively.
We just hit 9k.
Oh, we just hit 9k. So if you can help us hit 10, that'd be amazing. Yes. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you really soon.
Bye.
Bye.